How's it going, you lot? What a lovely Friday afternoon it is. A bit windy, but that's all right. Now, it's a very, very popular request, very popular demand. It's taken a while for me to get around to this video. Sorry about that for those of you that have asked. But I had another message yesterday and it kind of gave me a kick up the arse. So I said, right, let's just do this video and get it done. So a lot of people have asked me, can I do a step-by-step guide on what to do if your Nitro engine won't start? So I decided to pick a basic car. None of this. I didn't want to pick like a Nova engine or anything like that or whatever. I thought, let's pick a basic car. A lot of people have Carnages, and I think a lot of the people, some of the people had Carnages and they couldn't get them to start anyway. Very simple basic engine. They're all basic anyway, but you know what I'm trying to say. This is a more common. That's the word. Common engine. So let me put you on the tripod, and then we'll have a look and go through. Actually, forget the tripod for a minute. So let me just explain a few things. Some people you want a step-by-step guide. So let's start at the most simple things that can go wrong and cause your engine not to want to start up. We'll start at the very top, the most simplest of things. So number one, the most simplest of things, in my opinion, you lot, is temperature. Yeah, temperature. If it's a bit, I can't tell you what temperature, but if it's a bit cold, the engine is too cold, it might not want to start. Yeah, well, it will start eventually, but not straight away, and you might get frustrated, fed up, worn out, just whatever, bored. So the best thing to do if you're trying to start your car, even if it's regularly, even if it's about 20 degrees, 24 degrees outside, sometimes they still want a little bit of heat. You don't need it, but to stop you getting bored and frustrated, just heat it up, right? You can buy these engine heaters for about 25 quid. You need a LiPo to power it or a 12-volt battery. You can power them with a 12-volt battery. Or just get a heat gun, heat the engine up, right? That is that. So that's that out of the way. You don't need heat, but if it won't start, the first thing to do is give it a bit of heat and see what happens. You could also argue that the first and second, I mean, it's an argument. I mean, a lot of people would check the glow plug first, and so would I. It depends what the situation I'm in. But if I'm in the situation like I'm on the bench, I would heat it up first and then check the glow plug. So to check the glow plug, this is what you have to do. Right then, my friends, on a bird's eye view right now, you're looking like a bird down from the sky. You need to get your spanner, get your spanger, right? Take the glow plug out. Now this test does it does two things at once. This test, don't lose your little copper washer, little copper O-ring, you need that. Now, this test will do two things at once. It'll tell you whether your glow starter has got any power in it, and it'll also tell you whether the glow plug doesn't or does work. Now, goes without saying, very easy. You put it in there, like that. Just hold it, mind you don't burn your fingers. Where are you? Oh, there you are. If it glows like that, you know the glow plug is working, and you know that the glow starter has no electric. It has electric in it. You know the glow starter has electric. Do I have electric? I ain't got a clue. If you put the glow plug in the end of the glow starter, like let's take this one for example, and nothing happens, what you need to do, if you have another glow plug, that's the first one, that's the second one, if you have another one, put that in and see if this one lights up. Well, that one had a little bit of a puff, but it doesn't really glow. It's just because the battery's flat on this. I know it's flat, that's why I used it. If this doesn't glow with this, again, you know that the glow starter is flat. In which case, you need to go and charge up your glow starter. If the second glow plug glows, you know the first one has had it. Obviously, you can only have so many glow plugs and so many glow starters, but if you've only got one, plug and one starter, well, if I was you, I'd go and charge the starter up and see if that helps. If that doesn't help, change the plug. Because it's a lot cheaper to just go and plug in your glow starter for a few hours to get a bit of electric in it to see if it works, than it is to go all the way down to the model shop and buy a new glow plug. So let's say you've heated it up, won't start. You've checked your glow plug, it glows, but it still won't start. Why won't it start? You've got two things. You've got heat and you've got glow. Won't start. Next thing to do, you need to check. Make sure, I'm gathered that you're not that stupid and you do have actual fuel in the tank. If you haven't, then, well, you need to reevaluate things. But make sure that there is fuel in there. Make sure that it's actually primed properly. Because, believe it or not, you might not believe this, you lot, but some people that I have been around haven't primed their engine. And they're pulling away at it, or they've got the rotor starting it for ages, and it won't start. And they're getting annoyed. And the first thing I've said is, have you made sure there's fuel going to it? And they've said, no. How do I do that? Well, this is how you do it. So, take off the little pipe that goes onto the exhaust. Every Nitro car will have one of some description. Open up the throttle, like that. You can do it with the remote as well if you want to. And blow down that pipe, right? And look, this is the pipe here that goes to the carburetor. You'll be able to see that. Zoomage. You'll be able to see that. It will come off of the tank and it will go into the carburetor in the high-speed needle here. Pretty much 100% every single time it'll go into that high-speed needle there, right? So you blow down this pipe off the exhaust and you'll watch the fuel go in. Like that. Don't know whether you saw it, but my head might have been in the way. I can't look at the camera and do that at the same time. Now, if you blow down that, and there's pressure there, but you don't hear or see any fuel go through the line, you can take that off, right? And if you're fussy, you can put a little bit of towel or a little catch tub or something underneath that, and blow down that tube again. Make sure you've not got any jelly in the line, in the fuel line. If you have, you'll see it out the end, right? Oh dear. Sorry. I'm a 30-odd-year-old adult, but I've got a very childish mind. So you'll have to excuse me there. Whether you lot have the same childish mind, I don't know. But anyway, once you've established that there is nothing in that fuel line and you've blown that out, you should be able to put that back on and blow through it again, and it should prime. Now, there is, if it doesn't prime, God, I can't get this bloody thing back on again now. If it doesn't prime, I'll leave that for now. If it doesn't prime, that means you've probably got some jelly in the needle itself or in the carburetor. I mean, there's not much space for it to be. I mean, it literally goes in there and then it literally just goes into the carb and down at the crankcase. So there's not much to it. But you can have it in the little hole where the needle goes in. If there is, you can take the needle jet. Just get a you can take the screw out if you want to. If you don't want to mess with the tune, if you're a bit worried about that, you can get a spanner on here. Right, you can see that there's that's spannerized. Right, you can get a spanner on there. You can unscrew it and you can take the needle off, take the jet off, or the needle out, whatever you want to say. Bloody things. You can get rid of that and you can clean it out. But yeah, normally once you've blown the jelly through from the line and all of that, you can get it through. Now, you've done all that, but it still won't start, right? You've done all of that, and it still won't start. Where do you go now? Well, there might be a few problems. You need to try and ascertain to yourself has the engine actually got enough compression? It might have some, but has it got enough? An engine, an internal combustion engine, I mean, sadly they don't. Well, they might do, but I've never found one. I've been doing nitro for 20 years, and there's a lot that I don't know, but I've never ever come across a compression tester for a nitro engine. So I'm assuming they don't exist. If anybody knows they do exist, let me know, because I want to buy one. But it might have enough compression, but not enough to start. An internal combustion engine will run with low compression. But if the compression gets too low, it simply just won't start. And it'll be a bastard to start. And when it does start, it will run crap. So you need to try and get yourself, has it got enough? Now you can do that. It should be quite hard. It should be, it should be like that, There should be some kind of resistance on the pull start, or if you've got a roto start, it should kind of just go boop, 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 boop. It shouldn't just be easy. So if you're not really familiar with how it should feel, what you can do, take the glow plug out. In fact, I shall demonstrate to you now what it looks like without a glow plug in. Some of you might be watching this and you've not actually got your car nearby. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, how do I know? Well, let me show you. So, let me get a better one of that bloody thing. That one I was using down there is a bit crap. So, you take the glow plug out, right? Put that aside. Now, just pull it over. Right? Very easy. No compression there. It's very, very easy. Look, little finger. Very easy. No compression. So, and if you've got the roto start or a starter box, just put the roto start on and put it on the starter box, and it just go straight over. There should be no resistance, no compression. Put the glow plug back in, right? Now you know what it's like. Now you know what it feels, looks and sounds like without a glow plug in, with no compression. Put the glow plug back in and you should restore all of the compression, right? Because it should seal up. Now, turn the engine over again. Look, I can lift the whole car up now on the pull start, right? So you can get a gauge. I know some people like to take the engine out, hold onto the flywheel, tip it to one side, and say the engine should stay exactly there. If it falls over, it's got low compression. That's a very cool method of doing it, but that means you've got to take the whole engine out. And if you're new to nitro and you're trying to work out why your car won't start, you don't want to be fanning around taking the engine out. So just do what I just said. Take the glow plug out, get a feel for it, put the glow plug back in, and see if it's any different. It should be a lot harder to pull the pull start or turn the engine over in general. You can turn it over with the flywheel if you want to. If it's still easy, or it's just slightly more difficult, you've got low compression. Now that might not be a disaster, because there is 4 bolts. Can you see? Probably not. There's, in these cross, there's 1 bolt there, 1 bolt in there, 1 bolt in there, and 1 bolt in there. 4 bolts. They're normally Allen head bolts, normally. I've never come across one that's not Allen head bolts, so there you go. That shows they normally are. They do round off quite easily, so be very careful. Make sure you do use the right Allen key. And make sure that they're tight. Yeah, do them up. There's no torque settings that I'm aware of. Never come across a torque setting. Never use a torque setting anyway, so just don't bother. Make sure that they're all tight in a cross fashion. There. If they're not tight, that will be your source of low compression, and that will be why your engine is probably not starting. If they are tight, you've got another problem. Now we're getting into the realms of pretty serious things. But there's one more thing that you can do to see if your engine is going to start. Now, if you have still got a blockage and the fuel is not getting through, you can remove the air filter. Or if you've got one of those ones that bends over with a little... If you've got one like this, I'm afraid you'll have to just take the whole lot off so that you've got the bare carb there. And now you can see in there. Oh, you probably can't. Oh, there you go. Now you can see. Now you can see the throttle. See it close, tick over, open full throttle. Close, tick over, open full throttle. So if you just get your fuel bottle with a little bit of fuel in it, right, this is empty obviously, and just fill a bit of fuel in there, right? Now you're bypassing the needle, you're bypassing, so that is going straight down into that crankshaft, straight in. You're force feeding it fuel. So if it's gonna start, it'll start now. You might flood it. If you do put too much in and it floods, so you're pulling the pull start and the engine just won't turn over, it's stiff. Don't force the pull start. Take the glow plug out, pull it over, all the fuel will go out of there. If you're a bit fussy, you can do what some people do and turn the car over, but I don't do that. Just do that, pull it, put a bit of cloth over it or something, catch all the fuel, you'll unflood it, put the glow plug back in, try and start it. If it won't start, put a little bit more fuel in, but not too much, and try and start it. So you're force feeding it fuel, right? Make sure you got the glow plug in there, the glow starter in there, obviously, because obviously you won't start without a glow starter. And you heat it up. If you've done all of these methods, you've done, as far as I can think, every single method of trying to get it to start, basically. There isn't a lot else that you could do, apart from you could loosen the glow plug slightly, and I mean slightly. Don't loosen it a lot, because if the threads, if the plug is too far out of the threads, if it starts up, it could rip out the last remaining threads and fire the glow plug out, and then you've ruined it. You've got to get a new button then. You've got to take the head off and put a new button in. Just loosen it, literally, like so. That is tighten, yeah? Literally just go like that, right? Now the glow plug is loose. You'll lose a small amount of compression, but it might make it start easier. I mean, personally, I don't ever use that method, but it does work in some cases. If you're finding it hard to start your engine, you can loosen the glow plug. You won't do any damage. There's no problem there if you just loosen it like one turn on the spanner. The only other option that you could possibly do is squirt a bit of brake cleaner down the carb. You could squirt a bit of engine start down the carb and see if it will fire with that. But if you've force fed some nitro down in there and it still won't start, there is other issues with it. But unless you've got low compression or a glow plug that's not working and is working intermittently, it will start. Once you force feed that fuel down there, it will start. It might not stay running because there might still be a blockage, but at least you know that the engine is going to run. And you know then, if it starts with fuel force fed down in the carb, you know then that the problem is with fuel. So you need to look into your fuel delivery, basically, in basic terms. You might need to take the carb off and clean it. You might need to just take the needle off. You can hold that down, suck, right? If you suck on this pipe, the one that goes on the exhaust, you won't suck up any fuel into your mouth because it goes into there, look. It doesn't go in the fuel. It goes there, and there's a seal around here. So if you suck on it, you won't suck anything in your mouth. But if you suck on it, you create a vacuum in the tank, which then sucks the fuel, and you might suck the bit of crap or the jelly back out into the fuel tank, right? So it's in the fuel tank, but it's not blocking anymore. Then you can blow through it again, blow some nitro fuel. That does work sometimes. A bit of patience is what you need. The other option, what you could do, get a bit of brake cleaner with a little straw on the end, or you can get longer straws. Take off the fuel pipe. That's my beautiful wife sending me a text message. I'll have to have a look at that in a minute. So you can take off the fuel pipe and squirt a bit of brake cleaner in a can like that up into the jet, into the needle there, and that might blow out or dissolve whatever's in there. But there we go. Those are the basic things. In my opinion now, if you've done all these measures, you've checked the glow plug. Well, you could, if the engine still won't start, but the glow plug does glow, you could change the glow plug for a new one, and it might start. I mean, usually if the glow plug glows, it'll start, but that doesn't mean it will run well, because it's just like a spark plug. They can work, they can spark, but they won't run well. So a glow plug can glow, but it won't. The engine still won't run particularly well. But if we're just talking about starting issues and the glow plug does glow, that's not the problem in my opinion. If you've checked to make sure that you've got a glow plug, you've got compression, you've got fuel, you've either force fed it, or you know there's no blockage, because if you blow through there you can see the fuel going in the carb anyway, and it still won't start, you've got internal problems. You've either not got enough compression, or you've got a leak around the crank, or there's something not right. Yeah, there's no other reason. You might have a blocked exhaust, possibly. I've seen that before. It usually happens with two-stroke, like motorbikes, cars and stuff, but you might have a blocked exhaust. It's very possible. Either blocked up, maybe if you've left it in the shed, there might be some animals made a nest in there or something. Very possible. But I've seen a blocked exhaust before where there was fuel in there, because it must have been running rich before. So the fuel's gone in there, unburnt fuel, and it's been left for years, and the fuel jellified in the exhaust here, and it only left a small passage because the exhaust was sort of facing down and the manifold was facing down, so there was a low spot here, and all the unburnt fuel kind of just laid there, filled up the exhaust for years. And then when I got to it, it wouldn't start, so I just took it all apart, and when I took the exhaust off, the problem was jelly in here, wasn't letting the gases, the fumes or the air come out the exhaust, and yeah, that was the problem. Clean that out, engine started right up. So check to make sure your exhaust passage is clear. But other than that, I can't think of any other reason why it won't start. Nitro engines are very simple things. So heat, glow, air. Well, you know you've got air. There's no restrictions on air unless that is blocked. You could check that. But if you've taken it off to force feed nitro in, you will know if there's a blockage in there anyway, so that goes without saying. Compression, again, that'll be down to you to determine whether you've got enough compression. A nitro engine will run with low compression. It'll have to be very low for it not to run. So yeah, there we go. If you've got any questions, please put them in the comments. If you've got any other problems, put them in the comments. Me or somebody else will try and help you out. If I've missed something, put it in the comments. Not that I'll be able to put it in the video now, but just if I've missed something out that you can think of, put it in the comments. At least other people can read it and think, ah, yeah, I'll try that. I've tried everything in the video. Someone's commented, try this, so I'll try that next. You never know, do you? I'm not perfect. I miss things out all the time. So there we go, you lot. Oh, one thing. There is one thing to point out. Probably should have put this in the beginning, but bollocks. Never mind. Right. Make sure you're turning the engine over fast enough, for goodness sake. There is loads of times when people have said to me the car won't start, but their roto start battery is either a bit low and it's just going blub, 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 not turning it over fast enough. People think just because the engine turns over it'll start. No, not at all. It needs to be going fast enough. Also, it's not a lawnmower, right? These little engines, they're not lawnmowers, so you can't just go. It's not starting. You got to go. You got to give short, sharp little pulls like that. That piston's got to get going really quick. Probably should have put that in the beginning, but never mind. But yeah, there we go, you lot. So as I said, stick things in the comments, enjoy yourselves, love life, and I'll catch you on the next one, you lot. I hope that helped you lot out. Ciao for now.